Brother Kamal, is it on? It's not coming on. Yeah, it's good. Let me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق الخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير والحمد لله رب العالمين. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will talk about things that invalidates the salah, and these are important things to know, because we want our salah to be valid and we want our salah to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many people actually do things in the salah and they pray for many years and then they discover that their salah was not correct because they did something in their tahara that was not correct according to any of the schools, or they would do something in their prayer that is not correct according to any school. And then what? When they go to the muftis will tell them, you have to make up that prayer. So it is really important that we learn from the very beginning how to pray, how to make wudu. So we covered the tahara, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And we covered the integrals. We talked about the integrals of the salah. We talked about the wajibat of the salah. We talked about the sunan of the salah. And today we are going to continue the investigation that we have started last week, which is the things that make the salah invalid. Things that you can do in the salah that would break your salah. Now, Allah. Right. So last time we began with the first thing, and we said to utter a word of human speech as opposed to words of the prayer, even if out of forgetfulness. And we mentioned words, what we mean by words, at least two letters of human speech, or one single letter that has a meaning. Like we mentioned in the Arabic language, you can have one sound that means something. Like if you say I is the letter A, so it's a sound, I. But I means understand, from why. If you say to someone qi, even when you write it down, it is written as one letter. This is how beautiful the Arabic language is. You won't find this in other languages. It's one letter, it's a qi. It means protect from wiqaya and so on. So a single sound that has a meaning of a word, that invalidates the prayer. Two sounds invalidates the prayer. Now, there is a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he promised the hellfire to someone who helped someone else kill a Muslim, let alone the one who killed, the one who helped even by half a word. Like he didn't say uqtul, he didn't say kill him, he said uq. So sometimes the Arabs would even use this is part of eloquence in the Arabic language. Right? We would use half a word to indicate a word in place of an entire word. So uq here, the person would understand that you mean uqtul, but you don't want to say the whole thing because it's bad, or because you want to get away with it. You don't want to take the responsibility. Or I would say, I said uq, I didn't say uqtul, but that's what he meant. So the huruf in the beginning of the Quran, some ulama, and this is a strong opinion, say that these are symbols for entire words. When you say alif lam mim, for example, alif, they say the alif is a symbol for Allah. For example, the mim is the symbol for Muhammad, because it's the first letter in Muhammad, and so on. So you would have ha for himaya, for protection, and so on. So the Arabs use this even in poetry. In poetry, they would say, قُلْتُ لَهَا قِفِي قَالَتْ قَافٍ. I said to her, stop, right? And she said, qaf. Qaf means that I did stop. So qaf is a symbol for the word waqaftu. Right? So I mentioned all of this because I wanted to give you an idea about how you can use one sound that means an entire word, or one sound that symbolizes a word, or half a word that actually is a word, but you don't want to say the full thing. Yes. So if you say to someone uq and you mean uqtul, then you take the responsibility also with that person who killed without right. Now, yes. So unless it is part of the prayer, we talked about this last time when we said that some people sometimes they try to attract the attention of others by raising up their voice when they say Allahu Akbar, right? So can you do that to attract the attention of someone, or your intention has to be to make dhikr, to say Allahu Akbar? If the intention was purely to attract the attention of that person, then you're talking to that person. You don't have the intention of making dhikr in the salah. And that is an issue, yeah. Type. So we talked about this. And then we talked about excessive movement in the salah. Many people do this. Many people do this. And they don't realize that their salah, especially children, I see children all the time doing this in the salah. Excessive movement. What does it mean, excessive movement? A lot of movement. This invalidates the salah. When we are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to remember that we are in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean you are in the presence? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. Your heart has to be focused on Allah. Your mind has to be focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can't be looking like this or you can't be doing these things. And we mentioned where to look in the salah last time. So I will not repeat this. So if you are being distracted by things, close your eyes and focus on Allah. Focus on, you're talking to Allah in the salah. The salah is all about talking to Allah, being in the presence of Allah. You cannot be even focused on things like tajweed and the salah. The shaitan distracts people. Shaitan comes to people in the salah, especially reciters, teachers of tajweed, right? Or students of tajweed or qira'at and everything. Shaitan comes and said, oh, he didn't make the mad properly here. Say it again. This is a distraction, Imam Ghazali said. Because the salah is not, you're not supposed to be in the salah worried about ikhfa and qalb and mad and all of that. Because this is not in the salah. You practice tajweed as much as you want outside the salah. But once in the salah, you don't worry about tajweed. Even that is a distraction, let alone thinking about other things. Shas ibn Qais of the early Muslims was asked once, do you think about things in the salah? So he said things like what? Like the hellfire and Jannah and these things? He said, no, that's not what we mean. But when we start the salah, we have thoughts about our children and houses and jobs. He said, so do you ever have thoughts like that? He said, for me, to have every part of my body be penetrated by a spear is easier than for me to think of such things in the salah. This is how they had their khushu'ah. And one of the Sahaba, the early Muslims, used to say to his children and wife, before he would enter the salah, he would say, speak as loudly as you want, because when I start the salah, I don't hear you. I don't hear you. Like, this is how focused he is in the salah. And if a child runs around in the salah, we make a big deal about it. He disturbed us, and we're supposed to have that kind of presence and focus on Allah, that we don't hear anything, and be 100% focused. So, to go back to the movement, younger ones, and I see, mashallah, a lot of them today. This means that you have to be in the salah and you don't move a lot. You move only if you need to. Like something is itching and you want to scratch it, like in your face, and this is distracting you from the salah. So what you do, you scratch it and you go back, you put your hand quietly and you continue the salah. In the Hanafi school, the position of the hands, we spoke about it, is under the navel, like this for men, and on the chest for women. If you move a lot, like you start doing like this and like this, and this movement invalidates the prayer in the Hanafi school. In the Shafi'i school, it's even more strict. In the Shafi'i school, if you make 3 movements, consecutive movements, like someone is like doing, the salah is over. You have to start the salah. Get out of the salah and start from the beginning. Don't walk in the salah, even to fill in a gap in front of you. You start walking like this, that invalidates the salah. Because if you do, in the Hanafi school again, if you move in such a way that someone is looking at you and say, oh, this person is not praying. He's moving up so much, he's not in the prayer. That is an indication that your salah is invalid. So protect your salah. Otherwise, when you grow older, you will have to repeat that salah. And trust me, you don't want to do that. Which is easier? Let me ask everyone here. Which is easier, to pray the salah in time or to make it up? If you miss a salah, which is easier? To have prayed that salah in time or to make it up? To have prayed it in time. It's always easier to do that. The makeup is more difficult, subhanallah. Always like that. Why, I don't know, but the makeup is really difficult. But we have to make it up. Imam An-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, he said, if you have any word whatsoever, something that you do of dhikr, something you do of the Quran, let's say you have your Quran daily recitation is 1 juz'. One day you missed that juz' of the Quran. He said, you must make it up the next day, even the Quran that you missed. Why? Why do you think he said that? You have to make it up. And the next day, how many juz's you would have to recite? Like if 2, right? Because you missed 1, right? So now you're reciting 1 juz' every day. So you missed Saturday, you missed your Quran juz'. So on Sunday, you have how many juz's? 2. So was it easier for you to do 1 every day or to do 2 in one day? To do 2, to do 1 is easier. So the makeup is more difficult, harder. Why he says you have to make it up? Because your nafs will tell you, oh, we just missed it on Saturday, it's okay, we can miss it again. You can miss it again. So you will give your nafs that rukhsa, that the nafs will think that it's okay to miss the word. But if you tell the nafs, like the salah, for example, I know if I miss Salat al-Fajr, I have to make it up. No, then let me wake up and do it in time. It's easier. See what I mean? There's a Sheikh, Sheikh Abdul Rashid al-Sufi, the Imam in Qatar. He said about himself that he recites every day 5 juz's of the Quran. He said sometimes he's busy with competitions and Quran competitions, so he doesn't get to recite the 5. So he has a khatam every week of the Quran. When he told his father that he finishes the Quran in 1 week, his father was angry. He said, how do you let an entire week pass and you have only 1 khatam of the Quran? He said his father used to finish the Quran in 3 nights. This was his 3 days. So anyway, this is his, he said, sometimes I get busy and I'm not able to do that. So I find myself on Thursday with a big number of juz's that I wasn't able to recite throughout the week. He said, I don't sleep that night. I stay awake all night to finish my word. Why is he doing that? He's not giving himself this rukhsa in order to keep that word. If you want to keep a word, something like the prayer, if you miss it, make it up. Don't ever leave it. Sayyiduna Umar bin Khattab, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, if you miss tahajjud, then do it between shuruq, after shuruq, and salat al-dhuhr. Do your tahajjud, make it up that you missed in that time. Don't say, I missed it, that's it. But pray, make up your tahajjud, and you shall have the same reward, he said, as having prayed it in its time. This is what Umar al-Khattab is saying, that the Sahaba say that this is like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying it. It has the same effect, the same power. Why? Because this is not something that Umar ibn Khattab would have known by himself. This is something that he must have heard from the Messenger of Allah. Although he doesn't say he said that, but he must have heard it, because this is of the unseen. How would he know that you shall have the same reward? So this hadith has the same effect as if the Prophet ﷺ had said it directly to us. Now, any questions? I do. طبعا the more. نعم. تمام. كيف بده يكون آخذ نفس الأجر؟ لأنه طيب يا أختي طيب. The question is, the sister is saying that if you pray in time, you get a greater reward, without a doubt. If you pray in time, you get a greater reward than someone who prayed later. Tamam? Not even made it up. Let's say there are 2 group prayers. And the first group prayer, they prayed in time. When the time first came in. And then another group of prayer came. Another people came and they prayed also group prayer. Who has more reward? Those who prayed earlier. The earlier you pray, when the time comes in, the greater the reward. There's one of the Shafi'i scholars. Again, the questions, I know, but there is a benefit, inshallah ta'ala, so be patient. Inshallah. Maybe we can keep the questions to the end. So, one of the Shafi'i scholars, he came and he realized that they prayed the Jama'ah already. So he missed the group prayer. So what did he do? He prayed that salah by himself 27 times. Why? Because the ajr of the Jama'ah, if you pray in the Jama'ah, there are different hadith, but one hadith is 27 times, is that you get the reward of having prayed by yourself, as if you have prayed by yourself 27 times, if you pray with a Jama'ah. So he wanted to get that reward, so he prayed by himself 27 times. So he saw a dream after that, in the vision, he saw people riding horses, horsemen, and he's trying really hard to catch up with them, and he is not able to. He's really trying to work hard and tiring out his horse. So one of them looked at him and said, "Don't tire out your horse. You won't be able to catch up with us." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because we prayed in time." Yes, you prayed 27 times. But as a group, we prayed in time. Like, we still surpassed you in the reward. So yes, praying in time, without a doubt, has. But in this case, sister, why Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab said you shall have the same reward? Because that person had the intention to wake up. And by the way, even if you have the intention and to do something that is good and you're not able to, like every one of us, when they go to bed, should intend to wake up for tahajjud. If you don't wake up for tahajjud, Allah will write that reward for you, even if you haven't done it. But in order to show that your intention is sincere in wanting to have woken up, then you should make it up. Then, inshallah, you will be good. And also, you will teach yourself that I cannot miss it. That if I ever miss it, then I will make it up. Now, so excessive movement. So do not move too much, guys, in the salah. Younger guys, I see them always doing that. Like moving like this and So that invalidates the prayer. Be still. I was once in a masjid and I saw a child. This happened in the Emirates. And up until now, whenever I remember this young man, I say, MashaAllah, because I saw him praying this salah without a single movement outside the salah, going in the ruku' like this. A child, I have never seen like him. I was really impressed by the way he prayed. So subhanallah, I mean, credit to his teachers and parents for teaching him how to pray very well. MashaAllah. The two things also that break the salah, invalidate the salah, to eat or drink in the salah. We cannot talk, we cannot eat or drink. Now, you might say to me that nobody does that. What happens with people is that sometimes they don't wash their mouth. And they have eating something or are continuing. I've seen children also do that, right? They're finishing eating something or they have a candy still in their mouth, and then they start the prayer and they continue to eat that. So this invalidates the salah. And it's actually what we should do before the salah. We should brush our teeth with the siwak. If you don't have the siwak or you don't have time to brush your teeth, then at least rinse your mouth before you start the salah. Make sure that you don't have food remaining in the salah, because if you start swallowing food, this is eating. So if you have to drink before the salah. Don't drink during the salah. So these are the two things that break the salah. To clear one's throat such that letters are uttered without excuse. Like if your throat is hurting you and you're doing this not because you want to attract the attention of someone, but because you need to. Right? This is fine. But if you do it without excuse and some letters are pronounced, then this invalidates the salah. To cry out loud such that letters are uttered, or to moan. To moan is to say, for example. This is a meme. It's a sound. Or to say, this is a moan. So we mentioned if this moan came out from someone because they were hearing verses about the hellfire or about Jannah and they were moved into the salah and this came out of them because of that, then that does not invalidate the prayer. But if they remember that they lost a son, for example, they're thinking in the salah and then they remembered how sad they were and they said that because of sadness over something worldly, then that invalidates the prayer. To say salam to someone with the intention of greeting him. Now, you can't greet someone in the prayer. If someone said the salams to you, someone came, but saying the salam to someone is sunnah or fard? The response is fard, yes. So if you come and see someone, to start the salam is sunnah, but to respond is fard. So if somebody says to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and then you like do something like, you don't say wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, you don't answer it, right, the salams, then that is a sin. Which has more reward? Starting the salam or responding? Huh? So as we said, starting the salam is sunnah and responding is fard. Which one has more reward? Huh? The response? Starting. So this is the example where the sunnah has more reward than the fard. This is the only place, starting the salam, because you're starting it. SubhanAllah, now I thought about something, why the sunnah has more reward. Because you said the salam yourself, and you, by saying the salams, you made it fard upon somebody to say the salam. So you have the reward of yourself and him answering you as well. But this is an example of a sunnah that has greater reward than a fard. The only example in the Sharia. Usually the fard is of more reward than the sunnah. So if you are in the prayer and someone enters and they say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you can wait until you finish the prayer and say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was using the bathroom once, and someone came and greeted him, and he did not speak because it's disliked to speak when you don't have to mention Allah when you don't have wudu. So he waited sallallahu alaihi wasallam until he finished his wudu, and then he greeted them back, and he said, I dislike to mention Allah in a state of not having wudu. But something you can do, someone came and he said the salam to you. He didn't know that you are praying, or he knew and he doesn't have knowledge. Then you can move your hand like this, like as an indication that I'm answering your salams, but I'm in the prayer, I cannot speak, I cannot say wa alaikum salam. There is one thing that people do these days, which is not right. People enter and they see, I have seen it more in Jordan than here actually. In Jordan, people usually before the salah, before the iqamah is recited, yani between the adhan and the iqamah, people come early, they pray their prayers, and then they start reading Quran. And then someone would come and say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is not recommended. This salam is not recommended in this place. Why? Because the people are busy making dhikr. People are reciting Quran. So you have to interrupt everybody to say, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And then, this is not right. This is not right. And they don't have to respond to you. Because the salam was out of place to begin with. But of course, if you see two people in the masjid, you came inside the masjid, and you see two people are chatting about the dunya, which is disliked to do, you can say the salam to them. But also people in a session of knowledge, people are like studying fiqh, studying the salah, and then someone says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's an interruption again. Don't interrupt people. To shake someone's hands. Again, if somebody comes and he is like, saying salam to you, and then you go shake hands with them, that invalidates the prayer. No. To respond to someone's statement by saying, La ilaha illallah, or the like. Right? So, La ilaha illallah is a form of dhikr. But if someone comes to you and he says, for example, someone died and whatever, so you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, thinking that this is a form of dhikr. No, you're answering that person. Right? You're not saying it as dhikr. This is not a recitation of the Quran. So this is a response. Even if the response was dhikr, but you are responding to somebody, to something that someone said outside the prayer. to turn one's torso away from the direction of the Qibla. Now, who remembers in the Hanafi school, we said that there's a rukhsa in not being exactly directed towards the Qibla. Who remembers the degree? 45, yes, 45. So 45 degrees. Now, within 45 degrees, let's say I'm directed here, and this is the exact, let's say, I know it's the exact opposite, but let's say that this is the direction of the Qibla, and I'm standing and praying, and then, for some reason, I moved, and I'm this way. My salah is correct? My salah is correct, according to the Hanafi school. Because I'm within the 45. Now, if someone turned like this, notice it's the torso. The head might be like this, but we're talking about the body. Right? Yani even if I move like this, right, my head is still towards the Qibla, so I'm talking about the torso. So now how many degrees if I move from here to here? 90 degrees. That salah is over. Even if I'm here, it's over, because this is like, let's say, 80 or 70. It's still more than 45. The Shafi'is are stricter in this. In some masajid, I have seen the Qibla is completely off, according to all the fuqaha. If you go to a masjid and you take out your phone and you find that it is within 45 degrees, please don't make an issue about it, because this will create a fitna in that masjid. But if it's more than that, no, you should tell them that the salah is not valid. When we build the masjid, sometimes for convenience, like rugs, they don't want to put the rugs like sideways or slanted or whatever. They decide that, okay, we will use that rukhsa. They shouldn't. Because in the Shafi'i school, the salah will be invalid. And you want to make your salah as valid as possible according to all the imams of mujtahideen. And the Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim built masajid. They didn't have compasses like we have today. And their qibla was so precise that we can't, with all the devices that we have now, we can't do our qibla as exact as the Sahaba did it. We were talking about they built masajid in Egypt, they built masajid in Morocco, and all over the places the Sahaba went, they built masajid. But they were very precise with their knowledge, with their also strictness in following the exact direction of Al-Kaaba. How would you know the direction of the Kaaba? I know this is like besides the point, but it's an interesting point. How would you know the direction of the Kaaba when the earth is a globe? No, think of the globe now. Think of a globe. Do we have something that resembles that? Let's think of this tissue box as a globe. And you are on this side here, and the Kaaba is here in the center. Where would be the direction, your direction of Al-Kaaba? The shortest distance, yes. The shortest distance that leads you to Al-Kaaba. So your direction would be here, this way. So you follow the shortest direction. And don't be deluded by flat maps. You take a flat map and say, oh, the direction is from here. This is something that people did in the United States. So they looked at the flat map. They said the shortest distance is from here. It's not it's a globe. So in order to know your direction, you need a globe. and you can know the direction of the Kaaba. Decide where you are, and then you would see the northeast, northwest, whatever the direction is. Yes? Yeah. Hmm? Yeah. Like, you mean not, they do it. Uh, yeah. That's a good question, and I think I read it here. Let me see, in the Hanafi school. Let me see what he said about that. Let me read it. He said, unless the person is ill and therefore cannot control the moaning or noise due to pain. So that answers that point. To make supplication using words that resemble our normal human speech. This is in the Hanafi school. And you should, he said, make du'as that are of the Sunnah or the Quran, or ask Allah, yani the dua that you ask in the prayer is something that you cannot ask from a human being. Like you say, for example, oh Ya Allah, ighfir li. Even if this is not from the Sunnah or the Quran in this way, it's okay. But you don't ask Allah, you don't ask something that you can ask from a human being. Otherwise, it would be like normal speech, normal human speech. No, so he said about this point, namely a dua that is not found in the Quran or Sunnah, and that's possible to request from a human being. If it's found in the Quran or Sunnah, or if it's impossible to request from a human being, then the prayer is not invalidated. To elongate the letter Hamza in the takbir. I have seen this also many times by people. People do this in the adhan, people do this in the iqama, and the salah. The salah. How? They go like, Allahu Akbar. Or they say, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alright? So that invalidates the salah. One should be careful not to elongate the hamza of the takbir. No. He said, for one's nakedness, at least 1/4 of a limb to be uncovered for the length of time it takes to perform an integral of the prayer. So 1/4 of a limb. Let me read the note here. It will explain this because there is a long note. Are you guys following? Guys? Yes, you guys. Come here, come. Come here, sit here. Yeah. Yeah, don't sit next to each other, please. Thank you. Divide and rule. No. So, yeah, let me read the note about nakedness. It's very important. He said, namely, the time it takes for one to calmly recite 3 tasbihat. If 1/4 of a limb or more becomes exposed during the prayer for less than this time, it is excused. If less than 1/4 of a limb becomes exposed for any duration of time, it is excused. So sometimes some people, when they are bowing or making sujood, some of their behind is uncovered. This is excused, but people should not take this lightly. People should cover. But if it happens, don't tell someone, "Oh, your salah is invalid," because there's an excuse in that. However, there's a difference between, because it's less than 1/4. This is 1/4 of a limb. There's a difference between them having part of their less than 1/4 of their aura exposed and them doing it themselves, like they intentionally uncover something. If they intentionally uncover even the less than 1/4 of their aura, that invalidates the salah. But if it happens involuntarily, then the salah, that would be excused. I think he mentioned this. He said if less than 1/4 of a limb becomes exposed for any duration of time, it is excused. If 1/4 or more is exposed at the onset of the prayer's commencement, and hence the prayer itself is deemed invalid. If one exposes his limb during the prayer as opposed to a limb being exposed, the prayer is invalidated. He said, no matter how small the exposure or how short the time period. Now, so we should cover, and we mentioned for men, and we mentioned, and again, the younger ones, Tal. Come here. I saw you waving, and this shows that you are really involved, mashallah. So, the younger ones, the aura for men is from the navel to the knees. The knees themselves are included. They should be covered. They cannot be uncovered. So sometimes we see younger ones, they're wearing shorts, and the shorts are up to the knees, but when they make their ruku' or their sujood, their thighs are uncovered. So no, that invalidates the salah. In the Hanafi school and in the Shafi'i school, your salah is over. Cover in the salah. Make sure that you're not wearing shorts. If you want to wear shorts, wear shar'i shorts. What are the shar'i shorts? Yes, above the knees, like they have to cover the knees comfortably. In my day, they had them. I'm not seeing them as often as before, But in my day, subhanallah, we used to wear them. Even when I was a child, under 10, I used to be very careful about this, to cover my aura. Because I would feel really shy. And we should. That your aura, you should cover your aura. You should not neglect this point. You should feel that this is part of your aura, and we should teach our children that this is aura. If you teach a girl that her hair is aura, she will grow up and she would feel shy uncovering her hair. But if you teach her that this is not aura, and that's, so buy those shorts. If you have to wear shorts, if you cannot live without wearing shorts, then buy shar'i shorts. Find them. If you can't find them in Amazon, find them somewhere else. And make sure that when you wear them, because in the salah, If your aura is uncovered, like that, more than 1/4 as we mentioned, the salah becomes invalid. Yes?
What about people who wear the tight, the tight clothes under the shorts to cover the aura?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you wear something that covers, the point is covering. The point is covering the aura. Yes, sister. Say three tasbihat, yeah. To say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah 3 times comfortably. No. Yeah. He hasn't mentioned, wallah, any difference. He hasn't. Yeah. Wallahu a'lam. Yeah. What? Okay, very good question. Thank you. MashaAllah. So, does this apply outside Salah? Yes, this is the aura for men, and the aura for women is even more than that. Women, they can, in the Sharia, their aura, we're talking about mukallafin, those who are morally responsible when they hit puberty, cannot show except their faces, their hands, and their feet. Everything else should be covered. So that is their aura outside their homes. Okay? So for men, it is from the navel to the knee. The navel and the knee are included in the covering. Why they are included? Because there is no line that shows you where it begins or it ends. Again, the same thing when we talked about wudu. We said that in wudu, you have to also wash the elbows. Why? Allah says up to the elbows in the Quran. You wash your hands up to the elbows. Why do you have to wash the elbows too? There's no line that shows you where the elbow ends. Yeah, there's no line. Do you have lines here? Nobody has lines. So we have to also wash some of the upper arm in order to fulfill the order of Allah. So the ulama, when they talk about washing the arm, they say wash the arm up to and including the elbows. No.
So if you cover that and answering that outside of the prayer, it will be easier when the time comes for prayer because you don't have to.
Of course, you don't have to change, and sometimes you go outside wearing shorts, and then you have to look for hijab. And some kids I have seen, they start pulling down the shorts to cover and other things might show. So that doesn't work too. As I said, get a shar'i pair of shorts if you have to wear shorts. Otherwise, just wear pants, and Allah will reward you, inshallah ta'ala, for always covering your aura. Do not take this matter lightly. To carry an unexpected amount of filth, and we talked about this when we talked about tahara. There is an amount of filth that is excused if it's a very small amount. We talked about this before. For the follower to precede the imam by an integral or completely miss one which the imam does not perform afterwards with the follower, or which the follower does not repeat afterwards. There is a detail about this, but I don't want to go into the details. And I want to just say, especially to the younger ones attending today, do not race with the imam, because this might lead into invalidating your prayer. The Prophet ﷺ said the Imam was placed, he was given that position as the Imam to be followed, not to be raced with. It's not a race. You are not going to finish the salah until he says the salams. So why are you racing with him? I don't understand the logic of some people. And maybe you feel in a rush and I want to finish faster, and he's not going as fast as I want him to go. He's taking his time, mashallah, praying well. And I want to, but you are not going to get out of the salah if you are following someone until they finish and they say salam. So don't race with him. So if you race with the Imam and you finish an integral before him, he's doing his ruku' and then you raise and then you go to the sujood, that invalidates the prayer. So do not race. I don't want to get into the details. Racing with the Imam might lead to invalidating your prayer. What does it mean, racing with him? I wait. Right? He says, I don't do my ruku'. He says, some people, the Imam is just saying, oh, and they are already in their ruku'. And the Imam is standing, still standing. I've seen it. People do that. And subhanallah, be careful. Don't invalidate your prayer by doing such a thing. Yes.
I was going to ask the exact same question.
What do you mean?
So, because sometimes the physical movement of Imam is delayed.
Yeah, what counts is the physical.
Not the verbal.
No, not the verbal, no. What counts? So the imams, what they should do, an imam, the sunnah is to fill the prayer with dhikr. So the sunnah is not to say, because of the mic, I see imams do that, right? So some imams, for example, especially when they rise from the ruku', I have seen it all the time. They go all the way and they said, Allahu Akbar, because the mic is here and they want. They rise from the sujood and then they say, Allahu Akbar, right? No. The sunnah is to go, Allahu Akbar. Why did I elongate Allah? So that I'm saying Allah throughout the salah. I'm making dhikr throughout the salah. When you go down in the sujood, you say Allahu Akbar. When you rise, Allahu Akbar. Right? Now, if the Imam, for example, is saying, for example, he went like this, Allahu Akbar, and he said, Allahu Akbar, should I follow the sound or the movement? No, the movement is what counts, not the sound.
But obviously if you are in the second.
If you're second, you can't see him, yes. You should be careful about this. If you know that this imam, this is important when you are late. Now, to catch up rak'ah, you have to catch up the ruku' with the imam. So you come late and you say, you make your ruku', your imam had already stood up because his way, tamam, is to stand up and say Allahu Akbar. So you came to do the ruku', you're thinking that the imam is still bowing and the imam had actually risen up and to say Allahu Akbar. So he's actually finished his ruku'. So that means you have not caught that rak'ah. So take that into consideration. But the imam, this is one of the reasons why the imam shouldn't do that. Because this messes up the salah of people. But if you Once you raise from the ruku', Allahu Akbar, that indicates to the people, now the ruku' is over. And now I know the salah, I did not catch that rak'ah. Yes, yes. لا هي الهمزة يعني the Hamza, sorry, I made a mistake when I talked about the Hamza. This is not the Hamza, by the way. This is not the Hamza. This is the Lam. Yani this is not say Allah. Allah, it becomes like a question in Arabic. If you say Allahu, yani is Allah Akbar, you see that changes the meaning. Allahu Akbar, it means is Allah the greatest? But it's not, but saying Allahu Akbar. This is not the Hamza, this is the Lam. Yeah, the mad of the Lam, yes, yeah, you can elongate that. Yes, Imam al-Nawawi said when you say La ilaha illallah, let's say you sit down and make dhikr of La ilaha illallah, Imam al-Nawawi said it is recommended that you do the mad. Yani you don't just say La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah like that, but say La ilaha illallah like this. Imam al-Nawawi said that. It's recommended. Why? Because it gives you more presence. Yani do the mad. Allah. Yeah. So this is not elongating the Hamza. And the Hamza of the takbir, especially Akbar, like Akbar. This is what is really wrong. Yeah.
So if you're praying behind the Imam, I've seen some people as the Imam is approaching the end of the surah,
Yeah.
they drop their hand before. Is that considered?
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's not because they're getting ready to go. But sometimes the Imam continues. Yeah, but it's not because it's a movement, and it doesn't invalidate because it's one movement. If you do like this, it's one movement. Yeah.
And I think you probably made a mistake when you were standing up from Rasul to say Allahu Akbar. So we probably do that when we go into the Rasul, not when we come out.
Yeah, yes. We say Sami Allahu liman hamid. Yeah. Sorry, you should have told. Say Sami Allahu liman hamid. Yeah, you are right. When you go from the sujood. طيب, we will have to call it a day, inshallah ta'ala, and make it possible for everyone to attend, alhamdulillah. If there's any short questions, we can take them. Yes, one last short question. You have to? When do you catch it? So you catch it if the Imam is still in the ruku' position. What does this mean? So let's say Imam said Sami Allahu liman hamida. Tamam? So he's saying Sami Allahu. Up to this point, he's still in his ruku'. If you join the salah while he's here, he doesn't have to be here. But while he's here, if he is in this position, then you have caught up the rak'ah. But if he's here, it's over. This is standing. How would you know? If you're not sure, then you didn't assume that you didn't catch it.
So when you catch the salah and he is standing up, you don't have time to do the ruku'.
No, you can begin your ruku'. Because even if you go like this, you are on ruku'. You don't have to go like all the way.
So you have to...
Yeah, yourself has to be in the ruku' position, even the minimum ruku'. The minimum ruku' is like this, which is the right ruku' for ladies. We mentioned the difference between men and ladies in the ruku'. Remember? We said the ladies, they close their fingers and they touch the knees. They don't hold the knees. And they go they also don't keep the knees straight. They bend the knees a little bit and they go in this position, right? Like this. So for us, this is minimum ruku'. Yes, what's the second? No, you don't have to, but it's recommended. Subhana Rabbi Razim. This is the sunnah. Nam? Kif? Catching it. No, you don't have to say even once. No, you don't have to. But you have to be in the position for. Nam? No, he's talking about catching up the prayer. You have to be in the position of the ruku' and still. You have like position of the ruku' and have that as if you could have said subhanallah. So position, at least position of the ruku' while the imam is still in the position of the ruku', even if it's the minimum ruku' for both of you.
So if you got the ruku'
Yeah.
and the imam in the second rak'ah, but you still missed the Fatiha, right? You still have to make up the second rak'ah.
Yeah, no. In the Hanafi school, we said if you are following, you don't have to say Fatiha. Actually, you shouldn't. Yeah, but the Shafi'is, they also in the Shafi'i school, you are excused.
Even if you missed the Fatiha?
Yeah, even if you miss the Fatiha, yes. Yeah, and because, of course you missed the Fatiha because he's in the ruku'. You missed the Fatiha.
I thought if you miss the Fatiha in the first rak'ah, you are excused, but second rak'ah, you still have to make up that second rak'ah.
It doesn't. It's not about rak'ahs. The first rak'ah you missed, let's say you missed the first rak'ah, you have to make up that rak'ah that you missed. Now that.
Instead of ruku', if you came to the salah and the imam is doing the first rak'ah ruku'.
Okay.
I mean, you caught the first rak'ah.
Yes.
If you missed the Fatiha, still you caught.
How did you miss it? Well, you came in the first rak'ah.
You came in second rak'ah.
You
And the second rak'ah ruku'.
Yes. Okay.
So
You.
caught up with the second.
Yes, you caught up the second rak'ah. Yeah, absolutely. La. When did you get this difference from? La. You caught, but you might say, but I didn't recite the Fatiha. You're excused in this case. You're excused.
Every rak'ah has a separation at the ruku'. I mean, whether you join the second or third.
If you find the Imam in the ruku' and you say to yourself, I'm going to recite Al-Fatiha, that you lose that prayer. You have that chance. Sharia gives you that rukhsa. He's in the ruku'. Right away, follow him in the ruku'. It is sunnah for the Imam to wait for people in the ruku'. And this is an important point. If you are praying as an Imam and you see that some people are coming in, wait for them, don't rush. But it's disliked if that person is a king or some very important person in the society. In such a case, such people don't wait for them because this would make people think, he's waiting for the king or whatever. Yeah.
Two related questions. So
Yes.
say the imam takes a little longer during sujood than ruku'.
Okay.
Are you allowed to say additional adhkar? So if I'm in the ruku' and I'm saying Subhanallah al-Azim and I've said 3 times, but he's still
Yeah.
that silence, this dead space.
Yeah, make dua. We said make dua, but that is not according to the Hanafi school. That is not any normal human speech dua.
Yeah, so you can say
Yes, ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Keep repeating that. Yes.
So the question is, so you know how when you come up
Yeah.
from ruku',
Yeah.
you can say additional adhkar in between before you go to sleep.
Yes.
So you can,
Yeah.
if you're praying behind the imam, can you say those or you shouldn't say those?
No, you should. You should. We mentioned that the only thing that you don't do of the adhkar of the prayer behind an imam is recite Quran behind him. So you don't recite Fatiha if you are following someone or any other surah. But I mentioned Fatiha because Fatiha is fard for the Shafi'is. Yes. The last question, inshallah. before the salah ends, to miss an integral and not make it up before the salah ends. Like let's say you were in the salah and you forgot to make sujood, for example, or in the Shafi'i school, let's say you forgot to recite Fatiha or whatever, and you didn't go and made up that thing that you missed. That invalidates the prayer because the salah is missing something. You missed something in the salah and you ended the salah and you didn't go back and fix it. So if there's an integral, it's not like a sunnah. A sunnah you can pray 2 sajdas of sahu or something. But there's an integral part that was missed. So you have to go back and redo it. وجزاكم الله خيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إنا نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين تجعل تجمعنا هذا تجمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا بعد تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل منا ولا معنا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.